Does the kingdom of heaven have locality? It's a very simple question, but if you begin to think about it, you can only answer that question in really fundamentally two ways. Yes or no. Yes, it has locality, meaning that it is a physical place and it exists within the confines of our universe. In other words, you could, in theory, jump into a spacecraft and arrive at the kingdom of heaven at some point in time, say if you had infinite technology to do so. Or no, the kingdom of heaven does not have locality. That is to say that it is a spiritual, ethereal place and that you cannot reach by means of technology. It's outside of the known universe and it exists in some kind of other spiritual domain, other dimension, some supernatural realm, and so on. There's only one way that I can answer that question and make any sense of it, and it is, of course, yes, the kingdom of heaven must have locality, because we as human beings cannot even contemplate something that doesn't have locality. Like, what does that even mean? If the kingdom of heaven is not an actual place, then what is it? It almost would seem like a dream then, a place that only exists on some perceptual level if it doesn't have locality, that is, physicality. If it's not material, then what is it? And people say, well, it's spiritual. Nobody has yet defined appropriately, properly, let me use a better phrase, adequately, what the heck a spiritual realm is and how it's different from a physical one. And if you really begin to think about these things deeply, you realize that we have probably gone and made things much more complicated than they need to be in regard to how we understand the way that this thing called the kingdom of heaven operates. It must have locality in my mind. It is a place. They eat and drink there. They play music. There's a court. There's a judge. There's a standing army. God is referred to more often than any other title in the Old Testament as the Lord of armies. Now, what in the world is the purpose of an army if not to protect the borders of a domain? And if you have an army protecting the borders of a domain, we can extrapolate, therefore, that behind this army, within the borders of this domain, exists a civilization. What else would be there? What else should we expect to find? And we have detached the rational mind from contemplations regarding the kingdom of heaven. For some reason, we have decided that the best way to think about the kingdom of heaven is to imagine it like with words that don't explain anything. It's supernatural. Well, what in the heck does that mean? That phrase, supernatural, has no explanatory power. I have no idea what somebody means when they say that the kingdom of heaven is supernatural. What do you mean? Do they eat and drink there? They have an army. What do they carry weapons? And if they carry weapons, can they inflict damage on other kinds of beings? Can they receive damage in their own bodies? Do they have bodies? I mean, you have to get really specific, and you really can't get specific if you just label everything supernatural or spiritual. And I think we've misunderstood this term spiritual. I think we've interpreted this poorly. We think that the word spiritual means ethereal, bodiless. But that can't be the case, because if angels are spirits, then how is it that they eat and drink? Why is it that they use technology, vehicles of conveyance? The chariots of God, the chariots of Israel sometimes are called. You have angels interacting for all intents and purposes in the exact same manner as other human beings within the biblical narrative. Now, the easy question, the lazy